Well, the creators of Stranger Things just can't help themselves. So, episode 7 came out. That was Will Byers' coming out episode. And it rightfully took quite a lot of flack because the pacing for that episode ground to a complete halt. For a 10-minute sort of, bizarre, narcissistic, virtue signalling event. And people didn't like that because it messed with quite a lot of things with the show. Like it didn't play into the finale at all. It didn't actually not at all. So that was odd anyway. It didn't help change. Well, it didn't help pull the story along. It ruined the pace. It was just really out of place. And that was also, you got to remember, is that episode 7 was the finale of volume 2 of Stranger Things. Now, if you're watching a movie, for instance, and the last 10 minutes of that movie are bad, you're going to give the overall movie, generally speaking, you'll give the overall movie a bad review. It's kind of the last bit that leaves the taste in your mouth. And that being the final episode of Stranger Things, season 5, volume 2, I think it left a lot of people disappointed with the overall season as well, because it was emblematic of the overall season, the overall volume. It just had bad pacing. Lots of exposition. It was very, very heavy for exposition. So anyway, the creators have now come out and basically said that it was a review bombing and a homophobic campaign and all of this kind of drivel. And they also talk about some other bits and pieces, a spin-off, 11's final scene, things like that. It's worthwhile checking this out. And I wanted to talk about it because, again, it's one of those things that they just can't help themselves, right? This is such a quick off-the-pace article from Variety as well. You'd think that they'd basically had this lined up ready to go. And they'd even sort of second guess that it would be reviewed negatively. And so they just wanted to, line this up as well. It's very strange. Very, very strange. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's dive into it. Got this excerpt here anyway. And we will look at the overall article. So overall interview with Variety. But basically they say 11 represents, in a lot of ways, the magic of childhood. And we knew for our kids to be able to grow up and the magic had to leave Hawkins. There was never a version that we had written where it was 11 down in that basement. It was never going to be that simple and that easy. The question was, which of those choices is 11 going to choose? And if you, like Mike and the others, choose to believe that she is alive somewhere, then she picks something in the middle. But either way, it's a completely selfless and heroic act on 11's part. I mean, you've seen all those pregnant women and how many children are going to be born, potentially, using her blood, how the cycle will exist, and how many other kids will go through what she went through. And she's making damn sure that that never happens again. So, there you go. He went on to confirm that 11, dead or alive, isn't communicating with Mike during graduation, according to the Duffer brothers, Ross Duffer. There's also no scenario where she one day comes back to Hawkins and reunites with her friends and family. So she's gone. That's it. She's done. And he said, if she were alive, the way I would see it is no, any contact would risk bringing her back out in the open and starting the cycle again. So in the story that Mike's telling, I don't think he sees a version where they reconnect. Anyway, there's a little bit about the spin-off that they're covering. And so it says, elsewhere in the Stranger Things finale, we see a young Henry open a briefcase containing a pulsing red and black stone, seemingly a piece of the Abyss or Dimension X. It's what gives him his powers and ultimately leads to his transformation into Vecna. So while that's been touched on there's like a stage show basically called Stranger Things: The First Shadow, which, I mean, why didn't they just explain that in the episode? Like, they had enough runtime, for God's sake. Anyway, whatever. So the Duffer Brothers confirmed that the stone is tied to their upcoming spin-off, despite it having a completely different mythology. And not a, quote, deep exploration of the Mind Flayer or anything like that. But apparently it will answer some of the loose threads that are remaining. What? Okay. Brilliant. We're actually really excited, and it's very exciting to work with a clean slate, Completely new characters, new town, new world, new mythology. And he added, confirming that there will be no common characters between Stranger Things and this spin-off. So, yeah, there is going to be a new spin-off. Still the world of Stranger Things, right? So still part of it, I guess. But interesting. And then let's get to I'm going to end on the bad note here, obviously. And that's the bridge. So that was Will's divisive coming out scene. And on platforms like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, it's received overwhelmingly negative ratings with some signs of potential review bombing. It's not review bombing at all. That's just what this article says. So they were asked if they were prepared for a homophobic campaign. And Matt said no. I mean, no is the honest truth. Because it is, as Ross said, something we've been building for a really long time. I always say Ross and I are many things, but subtle is not one of those things. Okay. You could have just... If you were smart, you'd have replied to this and shut it down and been like, I don't believe there is a homophobic campaign. I believe some people just didn't like that episode. I don't know, something like that. I don't know, but dumb. So Ross noted, we're proud of the episode and we're proud of the scene and proud of Noah, who gave a really brave, very vulnerable performance. I doubt it, but okay. I've been texting with Noah a lot, but texting with him specifically after that scene and after that episode aired, and he's in a really good place. He's very proud of that scene, and we're proud of the scene. Brilliant. So, apparently just some homophobic campaign or some shit. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Great. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Amazing. So, yeah, pretty dumb. Pretty dumb. Homophobic campaign, apparently. And this is how Variety phrase it. Look at that. See? Because they're like, oh, I wanted to ask you about the review bombing of the bridge, which appears to be a coordinated attack by people who didn't like Will's coming out scene. It's not the case. It's now the lowest rated episode in the series. Can you talk about why it was important to you all along to have Will's queerness associated with his powers? What is it? What? All right, then. The coming out scene is something we've been building to for 9 years now. It was a really important scene for us and a really important scene for Noah, not just for a thematic point of view, but also a narrative point of view. The show has always been about our characters overcoming evil, and in order to overcome this evil, Vecna in so many ways represents all the dark thoughts and the evil of society. And for our characters to overcome that, it really becomes about embracing themselves and then also embracing one another and coming together. But that didn't play into the finale at all. But okay. Right? It was the final step in Will's journey, and Will is, in so many ways, the key to defeating Vecna. Volume 1 is really about self-acceptance, right? I mean, that's sort of step 1, and then step 2 is Will talking to Robin. It's something that he wants to do. He's trying to figure out how to come out, and he knows that he needs to do that, and that's the final step for him. And he finds the courage to be able to do it, and it's really the ultimate F you to Vecna. That was the intention. Brilliant. Brilliant. And they even continued further and says, I think that's where Ross and I were most sensitive, was Noah, because of how close to home this hit for him. And our goal was to make sure that he was comfortable and happy with the scene. And when he was, we felt good about it. I've been texting him a lot, and then just the other stuff that I've already said. So this is so bizarre, strange, but okay. He should be, and so should you. I have another question along those lines. There's a QAnon-ish conspiracy theory going around that Volume 2 was, and I'm doing air quotes, in case you're not actually looking at me, tampered with. And that there were scenes that were cut, including Elle and Mike going into Camazotz to rescue Will, and a Mike and Will one-on-one scene. Have you seen this Google Doc? What the hell is that? That's mad. Okay. Well, anyway, there you go. Just thought it was interesting. So, apparently, homophobic campaign. That's what happens. And spin-off. So, you know, if you liked this, then good. There's a spin-off. And if you didn't like this, then shame, I guess, because we're getting more stuff in this world. I will say this. I really like Stranger Things at the start. I do think, unfortunately, they've just dropped the ball in this final episode, or final season, to be honest, final season. The last season wasn't particularly great either. just kind of constantly layering it and building it up in the way that they have, I don't think it's been satisfying. Yeah, and Vecna as well, for effectively a movie villain. He was really actually quite pathetic at the end. He was really pathetic. Didn't kill anyone. Didn't do anything. He was just there. I mean, his child self-killed someone, but he yeah, pretty shit villain, to be honest. Last season, he killed people, but not this one. Bit weird. Anyway, there you go. Take care. Bye bye now.